I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time. Yeah, when you not...
Greetings, technicians. This is Admin Krow here, your coach of the Toronto Star Raptors, bringing you another week of Teambuilder for the PCL, the Pokemon Champions League. This is week 3, and this week we'll be taking on the Primordial Cold Surgers, coached by Fury, aka BBT, aka Blastburn Tiger. So in this Teambuilder, I'll be going over some of the sets I'm bringing this week. So I'm gonna break the fourth wall with you guys. This Teambuilder is actually post-recorded, so the match have already been played at this point. I'm gonna try to explain my thoughts and my sets as if that, basically without my biased opinion of going through the match. I'm gonna try to explain what I expect and not what he actually brought. So yeah, let's just get started, shall we? So first up, we have the tier 4 that we picked up from free agency. Scarlet Mist, the Slowking, coming back once again, packing the Rockium Z and the ability obviously Regenerator with the move Scald, Grass Knot, Flamethrower, and Power Jam. So Scald, Grass Knot, and Flamethrower is to hit most of his roster super effectively. His roster should appear to your right by now, and the reason I have Grass, Water, and Fire coverage is because his team doesn't have a Dragon type. So instead of going with the standard Dragon Fairy Steel Core, he decided to go with two of the most threatening Steel types in the meta or in League format, in my opinion. One of them being Mega Scizor and the other one being the Ultra Beast, Celesteela. And he has double Fairy to back up with the double Steel. Those being the Slurpuff and Sylveon, which I think are two of the most threatening fairies in the meta as well. Especially Slurpuff, it can set up and it can be used as a lead on both sides. So that means he did draft 3 Fire Resist. None of them are Dragon type. That's why I have Scald to hit both the Rotom Heat and the Alolan Marowak for super effective damage. So the Grass Knot is there for the Swampert, obviously, and the Flamethrower is for the Steel types. So Power Jam here, you'll be like, what do you expect Power Jam to hit? Because everything Power Jam hits super effectively against, mainly being the Marowak and the Rotom Heat. Scald already hits super effectively against. Plus Scald is a stab and has a chance to burn, so Scald is always better than Power Jam. So I actually gone through several variation of sets here for the Scarlet Mist. The Slowking, the final one I did go to decide to go with is Power Jam with Rockium Z. So the main reason I have Power Jam here is actually not to hit anything. It's just to take advantage of Rockium Z. The main reason for Power Jam to be there is because just so that I actually have a move to use Rockium Z with. I guess I can run Toxic or something like that, but the main reason basically is to have Rockium Z on Slowking, so I cannot be tricked by the Rotom. This acts as so it can be like basically 100%. It can be a switch into Rotom Heat 100% of the time, as I do take T-Bolts and Overheat that he wants to go for, and chances are he'll probably go for either Defog or Volt Switch on the Slowking to get momentum anyways. The Rockium Z is to prevent him from tricking me, and also to reduce the damage that comes from both the Zangoose and the potential Scizor Brain from their knockoffs respectively, because the fact that I am holding a Z Crystal, those knockoffs will be doing less. So I did EV this thing to take a U-turn from a standard defensive pivot Scizor. I believe I can still take one from a max attack. I'm not 100% certain on that. That's what the defense investment and the HP investment is for. And I also EV'd it so that with a modest nature and 76 point in special attack, I can have a 45% chance or 40% chance to guarantee a one-hit KO on a standard defensive pivot Scizor. And actually, Scizor doesn't have anything to hit me with outside from U-turn, or actually, I guess he can bring Bug Bite, but that's very unlikely. U-turn is always the better move, in my opinion, just to get momentum overall. So I can actually stay in against the Scizor. If he so decide to go for a knockoff, which is the only thing that will do tremendous damage to me if I am not packing Rock MZ. So I can live either a U-turn or a knockoff, and fire back a flamethrower and potentially pick up the KO on the Scizor, which lessens the pressure on my Kurogiri, the mummy dude. What's his name? Kofak, yes. To lessen the pressure on Kofak later. So that was my general idea, so that my Slowking can actually take a hit from the Scizor. So if he does go for the U-turn, obviously he's not going to be staying in, and I can always regenerate back the health anyways. And the rest, just in special attack, help me take on the potential hyper voices from Sylveon a little bit better. I do have a naturally higher special defense anyways. So this is the set for Slowking, Scarlet Mist. So next up we have Ara the Victini, packing the Choice Band, V-Create, Energy Ball, Zen Headbutt, and U-turn. V-Create with Choice Band alongside of Adam and Nature actually 2-hit KO his entire roster. He does have 2 of the most threatening steel types. Obviously, V-Create KOs those without a Choice Band anyways, but as I mentioned before, 3 of his fire resist. I guess he technically have 4 if you count Barbaro, but I don't expect that thing to come. So I'm just going to be saying 3 fire resist from now on. Mini being a Marowak, Rotom Heat, and Swampert. Marowak and both Marowak and Rotom actually have a 10% to get 2-hit KO'd, even if they run a fully physically defensive set by V-Create, and it's guaranteed a 2-hit KO after rocks. So that's what V-Create is for. So every time Victini comes in, it pretty much gets a kill or gets a huge dent off his team. It also guarantees a 1-hit KO on a fully physically defensive Sylveon. And Energy Ball is of course there for the Swampert. And I don't have any special attack investment. In fact, I have a minus special attack nature. I don't really need a special attack because I don't want to invest any more in special attack to get basically the potential OHKO on Swampert. So even with a minus special attack nature, I can still guarantee the 2-hit KO on the Swampert if he's not fully specially defensive, which I don't expect him to be, because both Rotom Heat and Marowak can be specially defensive to take on the potential special fire move, but Swampert is always the better physically defensive wall, in my opinion, to take on Victini. And Zen Headbutt is there for general stab. I don't really need the move, but if I somehow predict Swampert to come in and I don't want to lock myself into Energy Ball, I can always click Zen Headbutt, because there's no way that he'll switch in Steel type against my Victini. So Zen Headbutt is pretty much good neutral damage against whatever comes in, and U-turn is there for general momentum, of course. So initially, because his team is so slow, I had max attack and max HP almost, because I outrun everything I need to outrun, and I can't outrun Serp or Cryogonal anyways, if I don't run Choice Scarf. So, but in one of my mocks, my friend Lo-Fi, he's in the Origin League. He helped me mock quite a few times this week. He actually wrecked me with a Toxic Orb Zangoose. I overlooked Zangoose when in my initial prep for Fury this week. So the Zangoose was being able to outspeed my entire team because I didn't EV any of my mons to outrun the Zangoose, who has a base 95 speed, I believe. So that's what the speed tier is for. I have just enough speed to outrun a Adamant max speed Zangoose, and obviously the rest I have in HP after I have the 252 max attack, just to help me achieve the 2-hit KO on most of his roster. So next up we have Kurogiri coming for the first time, I think, after I drafted it. The Kofak, nice my hero reference once again, packing the Rocky Helmet, Shadow Ball, Toxic Spikes, Ping Split, and Haze. So Shadow Ball is there. Initially I didn't have Shadow Ball, I had Energy Ball for the Swampert, but I always want to preserve this. I realized that I always want to preserve this for either the Celesteela or the Scizor. just because I want to be able to switch into those two and haze up, and also the haze is there for Slurpuff. In fact, I do take a +6 belly drum, +6 Slurpuffs play rough with my defensive investment, and I can hit that thing up with either haze or ping split to get all my health back. Shadow Ball is there to break the sub from Celesteela and Superior, which proves to be a huge problem. I think it's one of the biggest threats against my team, actually, Superior. And Toxic Spikes is there just because his defogger options are limited, mostly being the Scizor and Rotom Heat. And he doesn't have a grounded poison type, that's why I was trying to take advantage of that. And Ping Split, as I explained before, because I don't have reliable recovery, so I need some way to hit the setup sweepers in a sense. And it's also good against lead Slurpuff. When I bring him down to his dash, he's at 1 HP. I can hit that thing up with a Shadow Ball. Sorry, I was talking about Shadow Ball, but Ping Split is for the setup variant of Slurpuff. So I can hit that thing up with a Ping Split after I take a +6 play rough, and the Shadow Ball is to is there for basically potential lead Slurpuff. Once he set up sticky webs and live on a stash from any of my attacks, I can finish that thing off with a Shadow Ball and be able to switch into his Endeavor very well. That's one of the other reasons that I brought Kofak, because I watched Fury's match from week 1. He did bring a lead Slurpuff, I believe. He didn't end up leading with it, I don't think, but one of his set is the Stash Endeavor set. So Endeavor doesn't work on ghost types, obviously. That's why I have Kofak here. So let's hop into the EV spreads. Basically, I just have max HP and enough defense help me take a +6 play rough from Slurpuff, and a little bit in special defense in case I need to take on a specially offensive Celesteela, or be able to switch into Rotom Heat or Sylveon a little bit better. So yeah, overall that's a set for Kurogili the Kofak. So next up we have Leone the Mega Lopunny. Packing the Lopunite obviously with the ability Q Charm in case I need to switch into my opponent before Mega Evolution and get a cheesy 30%, I guess. And the movesets are Quick Attack, Return Fire Punch, and Facade. So yes, Facade's coming back once again. Try to prove its usefulness after I missed out the, I guess, potential game changer last week against Clutch. Quick Attack is there for the Superior in case I get glared and paralyzed, and it's also there for the Zangoose, because it's probably going to be packing Quick Attack as well, since I do naturally outspeed, and I'll be able to outspeed and hit that thing up with a Quick Attack to finish it off. Return is there for General Stab. Fire Punch is there for mainly for the Scizor and Celesteela. I don't really need the Fighting Stab since he has 2 fairies anyways. And Fire Punch will be hitting those 2 Steel types harder without having to take the risk of potential crash from High Jump Kick. And Facade is just Facade. I love Facade on Mega Lopunny. So it allows me to play a little bit more recklessly and absorb some status with Mega Lopunny and still be able to dish out a lot of damage. So right here for the EV spread, because his team is so slow, I can afford to run Adamant Nature again. I just have enough speed to outrun the Superior, which is the fastest thing on his team, I believe, and the rest in attack 250 to attack with Adam. And the remainder of my EVs is pretty self-explanatory, just goes into HP. So yeah, that's the Lopunny set. So up next we have Incurcio the Hydreigon, packing the Choice Scarf for the first time. Yes, I'm actually bringing Choice Scarf Hydreigon. I actually undergo quite a few variants of Hydreigon sets before I came up with this as well. Initially I had a max defense Hydreigon to help me take on the Alolan Marowak. That thing's a gigantic threat against my team as well, because my team is so psychic not psychic, but dark / ghost weak. Every time that thing comes in, just straight up get a KO on whatever I have to send in. But then I realized I have nothing to check superior offensively outside of Lopunny. But even then, he can just glare me or safely go for a Leaf Storm after he gets a sub up against one of my slower mons. So that was really problematic, so I was forced to bring Choice Scarf Hydreigon to check that thing offensively, even though that he has double Steel and on top of that double Fairy. So the movesets here are U-Turn, Flash Cannon, Flamethrower, and Dark Pulse. Flamethrower for his Steel types, Flash Cannon for his Fairy types, U-Turn for Momentum, and Dark Pulse for Stab, mainly to hit the Swampert and the Alolan Marowak. So Choice Scarf, I already explained, is to help me outrun the Superior. I only have enough speed to just outrun the Superior. I am packing a Modest Nature to help me hit as hard as possible. I'm not going to be able to outspeed any of his Choice Scarf mons, but I'd rather have the HP to help me take on the Alolan Marowak and a little bit defense in that regard, since I am not running Roost or a defensive set. So that's I guess my way to compensate for not running a defensive Hydreigon. So it's basically a set that can help me offensively check SERP and defensively take hits from the Alolan Marowak as well. So lastly, we have Windhowl the Gliscor coming back once again. It is going to be his last debut on the Star Raptors, but this week I really hope that he can put in the finals work. So the movesets, the items are obviously Toxic Orb and the ability Poison Heal. The movesets are Stealth Rock, Defog, Roost, and Toxic. So as you can see, I don't have any moves to touch his Steel types. This thing is mainly there for the Alolan Marowak, because right now I don't have an answer to it outside of Hydreigon, and I don't want it to be constantly coming in just because the double Fairy pressure that comes from Fury's potential brain. So even though with my almost max defense investment, it still gets 2-hit KO'd by a Thick Club, Adamant, basically attack boosting nature, max attack Alolan Marowak with Flare Blitz, which is absolutely crazy how hard that thing hits with a Thick Club. But the thing is, I do outspeed that, so I can roost stall it a little bit if he does go for a Flare Blitz, and I do live a Flare Blitz into a Shadow Bone, so there's that. Oh, and the other reason I didn't bring a physically defensive Hydreigon was that in one of my mocks, Lo-Fi actually brought a offensive Marowak with low kick to handle the Hydreigon, and he predicted my switch. That the low kick did 80%. So I was actually really surprised that he brought coverage for the Hydreigon, but it does make sense. So that's why I have Gliscor here. He can take on the low kick as well. And the Toxic is to help me wear down his defensive cores. Obviously, it's a free setup fodder for Superior if he brings that, but that's a risk that I'm willing to take because I don't have anything else that can fit both Stealth Rock and Defog on. And it's basically, I guess, a last-ditch effort to help me take on the Alolan Marowak and just to handle his defensive cores in general. I'll be forced to switch if he goes to his offensive threats or one of his Steel types. So yeah, that's going to be the team. I'm really satisfied with how the team turns out, and I do believe I have a favorable matchup against Fury this week. As long as he doesn't bring a Superior or the Alolan Marowak, I really have confident in the team that we brought this week. So I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. It's gonna be Admin Krow here, signing off. Goodbye, technicians.